Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass with JayBee, Milly, and Smash.
So in today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at Scooby Doo Stage Fright. Now, as always, I feel like this is a common theme at the minute, but this, I believe, for JayBee and I was the first time watching this movie. It's one we'd heard some good things about, but not actually seen. Smash, as always, we're hoping, if not praying, that you might have seen this one a few times.
Ooh.
Yes, this was actually one I hadn't watched a whole lot, but this was one that I feel like had to grow on me because again, this kind of came out around a rough patch in my life, so I didn't totally delve into it until afterwards. But since then, I've watched it a handful of times, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. Now, if, like JayBee and I, you hadn't seen this one, or you haven't seen it for a while, in Scooby Doo Stage Fright, Fred and Daphne are entering a talent competition together. So Daphne's singing, Fred's playing the guitar, and they arrive and they're competing against these other acts, and then the Phantom arrives. So one by one, the Phantom is trying to take out the acts. So it's just leaving one behind. But the Phantom also seems to have multiple motives, it's fair to say, and it ensues that there may have been more than one identity to the Phantom, and I guess that's why all those motives kind of spiral together. Anyway, that's a very kind of brief overview.
Yeah, I mean, it does the purpose, to be honest, because for all there's a few twists and turns, I think that's fair to say. At its core, it is still a relatively straightforward plot, I want to say.
Yeah.
There's a show happening, there's phantoms kind of wrecking things, and I guess reasons why the Phantom is acting a bit different will become clear throughout the film, which is cool, to be fair.
So I'm going to say that from the start of this one, the art style really catches me a little bit more than sometimes. Just the fork lightning at the start, I was like, they've done something and it's really aesthetically pleasing here.
It was almost classic in nature, I want to say. I know the lightning and the rain is typical, let's set something spooky up. But it did very much seem like it was setting up the start of a very, classic haunted mansion by the book Scooby movie, which I was excited for as well, because I feel that after the last movie we reviewed, just getting back to the classics is the best thing in the world.
It is. And they're also quite quick to start establishing characters. So we meet the man that's kind of obsessed with being clean. They seem quite evidently to be some kind of director. They're very bossy, I think it's fair to say, pointing people in certain directions and all that kind of thing. And then again, very, very quickly in this, we meet the villains. So we have the Phantom. So I think it's fair to say that when we see the Phantom in the kind of I'm trying to decide what word to use here, the
stage,
the kind of theatre, I think it's very clear that there's a little Phantom of the Opera play on words there. But yeah, what do you think to the Phantom, JayBee?
I don't know, I thought that in terms of spookiness, it didn't really do it for me. It wasn't a scary or creepy thing by any stretch of the imagination, but really I don't think it has to be. I don't think anyone's watching these Scooby movies with the, on the edge of the seats thinking that they're going to end up, screaming in fear. I just think it does its purpose, the voice is kind of generic. It reminds me of kind of like a magician, that's just why maybe a magician's a prime suspect in this, but it just does what it has to do, I suppose. I guess the coolest thing about it is that mask, because it just makes it look a bit more inhuman than some of the just, I'm going to be the ghost of this or the ghost of that.
Now, I don't know if either of you will agree with me on this, but before we see their face and you just hear some music and see a silhouette and you see a shadow on the floor, I was getting Yowie Yahoo vibes and I really don't know why. But there was almost some sharp, pointy hands, and I don't know, it was really weird. I don't know why I got that flashback. I guess, like we said, the kind of art style was maybe a little bit older as well. Maybe that's why there was some reference. But similar to Alien Invasions, when I saw the actual villain themselves, I was a bit the silhouette was maybe scarier. I mean, Smash, what was your first impressions of this one?
Okay, so I never totally saw much of Phantom of the Opera growing up. I mean, I know what it is and stuff, but there was a older Disney Channel movie that I'd watch every October, and I still need to watch it this year, actually, just speaking about it. But it was called Phantom of the Megaplex, and it was about this phantom haunting this giant movie theater during this premiere of this huge movie and everything. And so, like, for me, phantoms, I always kind of refer back to that movie. And for a good chunk of that movie, you never saw the actual phantom. You just hear him laugh and the organ would play, and maybe you'd see his cloak, like vanishing behind a wall or something, or like they looked down a spiral of stairs and he was running down, and you saw him, but you never really saw his face or anything until towards the end, where they were trying to do like the big reveal of who he might be and whatever. And so I was really getting that kind of vibe with this movie, especially with, his laughing and the organ playing and stuff. I was like, ooh, okay, this feels like that movie that I always would watch. But I will say, I really do wish that they would have kind of kept his identity, his look, until a little later in the movie. I kind of wish he would have stayed like, a shadow and a cloak, for a little longer than like right in the beginning of the movie. I just feel like that would have added a little more creepiness to him and a little more suspense of like, I mean, they all kind of know it's a phantom, but a little more of like, what is haunting, this place, or what is causing all these things to happen. But yeah, there's my 2 cents on it.
No, I agree with you. And even like, not even to build suspense, but usually it's the end of the kind of opening when we see the identity. Whereas with this one, it was like half the time. So you meet one character, then they reveal what the phantom looks like. Then you have a cutscene over to the mystery machine. They build up character there, and then you get the opening titles. Normally, the reveal of the villain kind of takes you all the way up to the titles. So it all seemed to process very quickly.
Yeah. It is strange. And I'm almost thinking that what kills the Phantom for me instantly is almost the fact that I feel like I've been a bit robbed by context, in that as a kid watching, I guess, the newer ones, like Loch Ness Monster or something, a part of me is always thinking, right, I've seen Zombie Island, I've seen Witch's Ghost, I know that sometimes these things can be genuinely supernatural. Like, I didn't know like the behind the scenes things of maybe they're stepping away from that. So a part of me is almost thinking that if I saw this as a kid without the context, without knowing that there's supposedly some people over at Warner Brothers that are like really shying away from that, I would have gone, okay, we're hearing that there's a phantom, we're hearing that they're supposedly mangled in appearance under the mask, so they're hiding from that. Maybe it is something that even once they're unmasked, they're going to be scary or horrific, or there's going to be some tragic backstory behind it, rather than just, okay, they don't look scary as the Phantom, and all that we're going to see when the mask is removed is just some guy that we've seen at some point in the movie.
Yeah, it's very clear that it's going to be an unmasking, not like an actual ghost. So, like we say, it kind of goes from this to a switch over to the mystery machine. I really enjoyed seeing the mystery machine in a city for once. Like, quite often you'll see the mystery machine on a road on its own, whereas this was just something different, and I think it was done well.
Yeah, and I don't know if I can pester Smash for some context behind this movie for a second, please. In terms of concurrent TV shows, is this still that limbo period before Be Cool, or have we got to Be Cool yet?
No, this is still in that limbo period, so nothing really was airing at this point, series-wise.
See, I was asking because obviously, I really like Daphne's character all throughout the series and whatnot, but I do feel that they're starting to build up to that kind of Be Cool persona, where in every installment, she's got like a new type of obsession or a new kind of gimmick. So in Blue Falcon, it was the collecting thing, and now it's almost motivated by Daphne, this this trip almost because it was Daphne's favourite show, as she says in her introduction here. And obviously Fred's helping out, but it's almost like Samurai Sword in the fact that this does seem to be a story triggered by Daphne at least, or I guess Daphne and Fred, which is interesting because usually it's Shaggy and Scooby, but they kind of do have a role again. You know, actually, now that I think about it, it's reminded me quite a lot of Samurai Sword, but hopefully Shaggy and Scooby don't upstage them this time.
And like you said, because Fred has more of a main part here, like Shaggy's driving the mystery machine, they're in the back rehearsing. Fred's written the song, is playing the guitar.
And it's good because something that's so different in this is that when Fred starts like riffing or something, I think they've like written a song, Daphne accidentally says, "I really like you," instead of "I really like it." And I don't think we've seen that explored much, to be honest. Like, even thinking back to the live action movies, obviously there's like a kiss at the end of them and they were engaged, now married. But even then, there's not a relationship there. It's just nothing until the end. So I think this is the most that a movie's come close to that so far, unless I'm mistaken. Can you think of any, Millie? Or
No, I think that is...
Yeah, none that's been very explicit.
Yeah, like, they've never done this, but I suppose, you know, in a post-Mystery Incorporated, you know, as a post-Mystery Incorporated show or movie, it kind of makes sense because maybe the audience were a bit more used to that, so it's cool. I just wish it'd gone somewhere.
I believe the director, and possibly he might have produced this one, but the director of this movie actually had a huge hand in Mr. Incorporated. So, you know, he coming off of Mr. Incorporated, I'm sure he was like, okay, let's carry on these relationships that we built on.
Oh, that's just, it's lovely and all, but it's almost annoying because at the end of Mystery Incorporated, they're still supposedly engaged, they've got the parents' blessing, and now they just tease us again, and
Yep.
it's just weird because I understand why they do it, because obviously the characters never really age or grow up, so it's not like we can have this kind of cute serialized story like something like, you know, The Office that's 9 series long, or something like that, where we start off where they're kind of like a will they won't they, and by the end of like series 9 they've got like 4 kids or whatever. Like, it always has to stay in that static area. But I don't know why they do this, but it's compelling for what it is. But just knowing where it leads up to, and now, gosh, how many years are we away from 2013 now?
8.
8 years later, and there's still nothing that's materialized from anything like this. And I've got full confidence that in 30 years' time, there's still not going to be anything materialized from it. So, a bit difficult to get invested into that aspect of things. But Millie, what do you think? Because I know some people in the community are just against kind of shipping and relationships altogether. What's your opinion? I mean, do you mind, or is it just what it is?
I can't say I'm particularly motivated to watch it by their relationship. I think when I was younger, I maybe would have been more, whereas now I'm just like, yeah, it's a movie, it's fine. Like, it's not an integral focus anymore.
Okay, I get that. And it is just a thing that's like people have just read into at the end of the day. But it's fun when they explore it, because I feel like if they never did, and it's been around for that long, like, what are they doing? You know?
I think it's just like, it's difficult to follow it and be that invested in it when they kind of switch it up so frequently. Like you say, they can be engaged in Mystery Incorporated, and then you can get movies like Camp Scare, where it's literally just about Fred staring at other women like the entire time. Wasn't it like Counselor Hottie or something you said at one point?
Yeah, he was like, oh, it's that hot counselor from Camp Big Moose.
And it's like, it's just so flippant that it's a bit like, yeah, it's just nothing to really...
Well, that's the thing, really. It canonizes attraction, right? So if Fred can be attracted to, I think it's Jessica from Camp Big Moose, and it sounds weird, like the phrase canonizing attraction, but I guess once that's set down there, you kind of have to think, if they're at that age, then surely there's got to be some discussions, at least internally in themselves, about if they like each other in that way or if they don't like each other in that way. So just the exploration of that's good, because maybe they're not meant to be together, and that's why we lead on to say Zombie Island, where Fred's, you know, just helping Daphne out. There's no real sign that they're together. And again, in like say Curse of the Lake Monster, when they decide that they're just better off as friends, perhaps it's all leading up to the conclusion that they shouldn't be together. But I think if they're meant to be semi-realistic characters, then at least they would have explored it at some stage, which I think is cool.
So we then like move on to the titles, which I think are very stylized. I don't know what I want to call the artwork, but it's the style's very defined.
Strange. It's a bit like the old titles from, I think it was Abracadabra Do onwards, with the exception of, I think, Music of the Vampire, and I think obviously like Mystery Map. But I don't know how to describe it either. I mean, one thing I wanted to ask smASH in terms of this is when the last kind of art style was introduced for the intro, smASH said that that was like scrapped concept art or a scrapped style from a series. Was this art, you know, meant for something else, or was this just for the purpose of the intro?
Yeah, this was a little more of just kind of taking what had come from those previous intros and, you know, redoing them a little bit just for the intro. There was no real like deep purpose for the art style for this besides for the intro. So yeah, it was just kind of like a bringing it back type of thing for this one movie.
That's so interesting. And did you enjoy the art in particular?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, I felt like, you know, it was similar to like Abracadabra Do and Camp Scare and stuff, but obviously a little different for what it was. But I enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, and I think the music was certainly good to go alongside it. I like this one a lot.
Oh man, I can't believe how much good music there still is. I was thinking the second we got out of the What's New era, like, and there weren't really like classic chase songs, that I'd be a bit miserable in terms of that. But I would say that some of my favorite music has come from this era of movie.
Isn't it this song? Is it this song that's used for the instrumental on the chase scene?
Yeah, it's like an instrumental version.
Yeah, because like you said, for all there is to say chase music, I liked the chase in this one because they used the instrumental.
But again, what like? Well, is there some universe where you can download this? Because I don't think you can you? Like,
no, and it's funny because this song is like, if you know what this song is, like in the Scooby community, everybody loves this song. I absolutely adore this song so much. I listen to it, just like, you know, pull it up and listen to it constantly. I don't know. I really, really like this one. And I had posted it on Twitter, I don't know, a year or two ago, and the director kind of said something about it and, you know, was like, oh yeah, you know, like we had fun making this song and whatever. And it's like, goodness, like stop making these bangers and not letting us like buy them.
Oh, we should interview him on the podcast and put him on the spot saying, oh, let us download an MP3. Send us a burned copy illegally. We'll do it. Hold them ransom. But yeah, it is an absolutely banging song, and I'm hoping that there's some more banging songs to come up, but I enjoyed the style as well. And just the introduction of all of the characters, I just think they always add such personality to them. Like, I forget what they're all doing, but they're all kind of doing their own individual style, which I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, it's good. And then we start to get into the movie a bit more, so they arrive at the event, no dogs allowed, so Shaggy and Scoob are like, it's fine, we'll join you in there. And then for all Shaggy and Scooby get kind of labelled as the less intelligent of the group, it was kind of interesting to see them outsmart the security person, like, oh, you know, that's, what is it, a cello or a bass or something? They're
yeah, like one of those big
they're like, oh, that's not a bass, like, let me look in the case. And obviously, you then see Scooby's kind of hid behind it instead of inside and stuff.
I want to know who the voice actor is for the security guard, because I could have sworn I meant to research it, because they sound like that Captain Gontu from Lilo and Stitch, and I didn't IMDb it, and I'm angry. I might have to do it once.
I'll look while we're
Oh, thank you.
talking.
Because, I don't know who you... Millie, I don't think you know who I'm on about, do you? There's
No.
like this whale from out of space that's a police officer thing in Lilo and Stitch, and it sounds like the security guard.
So as well, we find out that like when the Phantom arrived at the beginning,
Captain Gontu.
they left a clipboard behind saying Christine must win.
Yeah, and
at that point we're all like, who's Christine?
yeah,
Like,
who is it?
who
is
is
this
that?
mysterious
We've not met
Christine?
anybody yet. And then the Bratty family arrive and I'm like, that's Christine. Literally, I've literally just called them Bratty family throughout. Like, I was like, I don't know what to call them. We're just gonna write that.
She just reminded me of that Carmelina Spats from A Series of Unfortunate Events, or Veruca Salt, just standard bratty kid, standard pushy family. But I kind
For
of
some
feel...
reason, it reminded me of like Toddlers and Tiaras. You just got this little girl
no,
and like
cringy.
parents trying to like micromanage and stuff like that.
See, to an extent, I kind of felt a bit sorry for Chrissy or Christine in that scenario, because it did seem like she was very much almost a victim, albeit a willing victim of pushy parents, because they were like, don't talk to her. If you do talk to her, you need to tell her beforehand that you're going to talk to her. And then they're like, isn't that right, Chrissy? And she's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, she kind of likes being treated on like this pedestal, but at the same time, I don't think she actively encourages it as such. So I kind of felt bad for them, but I was instantly suspecting the parents, because they just seem wacky. They're a bit too wacky for my liking.
So, fun fact, the security guard was Sojo and the Black Samurai on Scooby Doo and the Samurai Sword.
Huh.
He was also Tex in Legend of the Phantasaur, but his name is Kevin Michael Richardson.
Kevin Michael Richardson. And was he in Lilo and Stitch at all?
Let's see.
Wow, I forgot who Tex was. Oh, was that one of the bikers?
Yeah, yeah, question mark.
And of course,
So he was
Sojo was
in-
that kind of big, strong dude. Sojo.
Yeah, Sojo was the big, strong dude that like changed outfits for the people. So he was in Lilo and Stitch as Captain Gontu.
Yes! Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, and that's so fitting as well, because in that they're just running around trying to catch Stitch, calling him an abomination. Oh my gosh. Captain Gantu's a vibe. I could be Captain
And
Gantu.
he's going to be in the new Mario movie.
Oh really? Did they know who he's gonna play?
Kamek?
Oh, like the kind of wizard. They seem a bit
Oh,
too
okay.
deep voice. Millie,
Yeah, the
they're
one in the
that-
room.
Yeah, they came as a Lego minifigure with Bowser's airship, and every time they appear, they're like with a magic wand on them.
Yeah.
They're mad. Oh my gosh, I want to see that movie, but let's not talk about that yet. Although, let's all start a second channel so we can talk about that. Although technically we could cover that as a semi-Nintendo channel. I don't know. It'll be fun anyway. But one thing I'm noticing instantly with this movie is there's almost too many characters for me at the start in terms of
all the acts and stuff.
yeah, there's acts, there's relatives of the acts, there's employees there's behind the stage people there.
There's the people that own the building.
All supposedly suspects potentially, which makes it a bit tricky to figure out, but then in the context of how it
Yeah.
ends, it's just kind of there just so they have phantom fodder.
The difficulty is like, I feel like when you have this amount of people, it's more difficult to engage. Like, I don't think I've put anybody's name down in my notes. Like I said, they've all just got different ways of identification. It's like, oh yeah, the Bratty family, the magician, the band, the violinist, like
The weird hex girls.
yeah, there's no one's
Yeah.
got names written down because it's just like, oh, there's a lot of people here.
Hey. But that's how we do, innit? We always get to the bottom of the mystery.
So then Shaggy and Scooby go off to find the presenter because they want to try and become like last minute additions, and they want to show their like juggling act off, which of course is like one of my 2 rules is like no juggling. JayBee, can you please explain the comparison I made with that presenter, because I don't fully understand the comparison I made.
Right. So this presenter fella has a habit of kind of tilting their face and doing a bit of a charismatic grin. I think it's fair to say, I don't know if you remember fully what they look like, smASH, but Milly made an amazing comparison, which I can't really unsee now, that he looks like the troll face. You know, that and I just can't unsee it, because like everything from the face shape to the grin and the teeth, it's just...
I kind of want you to drop a picture in the chat for smASH just so he understands what I meant.
I don't think I'm technologically capable of it, but I'll try. Oh yeah, there it is. And I guess anyone watching, I'll try and link a troll face in the description in the form of a Twitter link.
Like, I've just seen this like phase edited into memes a lot, and I was like, oh gosh.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
Oh, I like that.
I see it.
You
But
memes
like, I
might be
just
about
did that
10
in
years
memes
old.
so much, and then the second I saw his face, I was like, oh my gosh.
But did you think he was good folk? I thought he was good folk, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't kind of get too many bad vibes from them from the start. They were fine. So then Shaggy and Scooby try and become like dancers. In the end, it's like, do you know what? Their talent could have just been how much they can eat.
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
that definitely wasn't my talent today. Like,
And how quickly they can run as well. Like, is it the Witch's Ghost where we see them with like tripled in size, and then within 5 minutes of run it all off? And
or you can talk to a dog, just like fake a backstory about how the dog used to be like booted by its last owner and make it talk and jump over obstacles, and it's a surefire win.
In theory, this is a talking dog. How is that not a talent show? Like,
It's a talking
winner?
dog, you know what I mean? I would like.
I know
legit,
everybody's so casual about it.
like you see acts like in like Britain's Got Talent or whatever, where like they just say like,
if they can
dog,
jump through a hoop,
stand
it's like,
up, and they do it, and everyone goes nuts. So imagine like Scooby, solve a mystery, everyone would lose their rubbish.
You'd think so. Poor Scooby does not get enough credit.
Although, can I just say,
No.
instantly when there's a character in a program that doesn't like dogs, to me that instantly makes them not likable. And I don't know if that's just like a bias or something, or if people are aware that there's those connotations of like, oh, if you don't like dogs, you're evil. But I just hate how there's like so much anti-dog in this. Like, you know, dogs are loud, that, you know, OCD director doesn't like dogs. And
Oh, that, to be fair, when you sit talking about not liking dogs, I'm just getting a throwback to the Goblin King. Where he gets banned from is that the one where he gets banned from a show because just for being a dog?
Yeah.
And then like him and Shaggy decide to like play tricks on the magician and like ruin his entire show.
At the start, the
and
great
it's just like,
Butsky or something.
you know, everyone should have learned by now, you can't leave Scooby out.
Oh yes. Oh, I can't believe I didn't remember that for a second there, but
I don't know why I thought
great
it's
one.
no, I mean, just dogs are just nice creatures. I don't know why you. I guess perhaps if maybe you were attacked by a dog as a kid, maybe, but like, I bloody tripped over as a kid and fell into a puddle, and I'd still drink water. Like, I don't know. What happened to you as a kid? You used to fall off scooters into the road, didn't you, Milly? And you used to walk on roads, eh? Innit?
I used to be quite terrible for that, to be fair.
Well, the dogs.
My mum stopped letting me out of the house because my friends always used to have to come back like Emily's fallen over and hurt herself. Like, go help her.
No one wants to help you now, do they? But they will one day. Here's my theory. I thought at this point it was 1,000,000% the director, not just for the dog reason, but also because they were so like clean and stuff like that. I'd almost imagine that it would be a blessing for them to have to change clothes so often.
See, I'm just thinking at this point there's that many characters I can't even begin to contemplate who it is. Like, it hadn't crossed my mind.
Did you not think it was the troll face guy?
I just genuinely hadn't thought about who it could be.
See, there's so many things in this that I actually do like, and that there's so many things that people say that don't mean anything, and there's other things that people say that mean quite a lot. And what I'm thinking of in that is when, like, the troll face guy says one of my main rules is, like, no juggling or something. I was expecting that to come back and maybe factor into things, or when the kind of, and this is going forward a bit, when that creepy phantom in the basement was like, oh, I hear everything from down here, that they were going to have a vital piece of information, and that really doesn't come into anything. But this, like oh, the phantom smell of lemon, that ended up being important. So I think I like this movie already from the point of view where it's, again, a bit like a murder mystery for families, for kids, because there's just so many potential suspects that could all have a motive. I just wish that it wasn't cheapened by the end result almost, where it was like a quadruple reveal. Like, if it was just one person that, like, there were some curveballs or some motives did align, I would think it was a much stronger movie in hindsight, but I don't know.
Skipping to the end there. So the phantom arrives. There's kind of like a mini chase. They are watching them on the cameras. Is it Daphne and Fred are like, oh, I'll get it, I'll stop it, and they run out after it? And then it just disappears completely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How does it? And Velma, like, sees it just full on good, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which I do quite like Velma in this, because instantly their reaction to that is, oh my gosh, they just disappeared, maybe it is a real phantom. And for all she isn't correct, and we haven't really got to the era where she's so much like, oh, it doesn't exist, it can't exist, you're stupid if you think it exists, it's nice to kind of have that kind of almost Sherlock approach to things, like if everything possible is ruled out, then you have to look for the impossible, which I think is logical.
I'll admit that this is actually one of the movies where I'd say happiest with Velma out of, like, a lot of the more recent ones, in that she, like, even when they start to split up now, she's like, okay, I'm gonna go to the hotel and check in, you two go to the library, and it's like, okay, this is new. Like, normally she's like, okay, well, I'm like, I know things, I'm gonna work it out the quickest in terms of, like, book smarts and stuff, I need to do that. And, like, Shaggy even picks up on it, like, did she just send us to the library? That's weird. And it's kind of like she's letting go of some responsibility a bit more.
Yeah, I think that as well, because I really don't, and obviously, like, I appreciate that Velma is, you know, quote, the smart one or whatever, but I just hate it when it's like Velma can solve everything, because then it's literally just like Detective Velma and her idiot friends do another mystery, and I just don't really like that aspect of it.
And then, so she goes to check in at the hotel, and then there is the annoying family again, which I don't know, like, oh, they're just so annoying. I was a bit like, why are they here again? But to be fair, I thought that the hotel manager dealt with that well, because I thought initially he seemed quite, like, snobby, almost like it was going to be like a really nice hotel. He seemed to turn his nose up a little bit, but then when the other family arrived, he was looking at Velma like, I'm sorry, and she just seemed to deal with that quite well. Like I said, I just think she humbled herself a lot in this. She was a lot nicer of a character. I mean, what do you think, Smash? Did you kind of see a big difference?
It definitely was tamer, I'd say, in this movie, in those kind of aspects. And I felt like, too, with the moment that kind of comes up later with her and Daphne, she was kind of that, like, character that was kind of like, well, I'm in the background doing the mystery stuff while everyone else has their emotional stuff going on. She's like, I understand people are busy with the show, and Scooby and Shaggy are doing whatever they do. You know, I don't know. I just felt like Velma was very much the one that was like, while everyone else was kind of living their life in these moments, she kept the mystery going. So then once they all could regroup, she's like, okay, So here's what I found out while you guys were at practice or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and like at the start of the movie, she's listing the places she wants to go. She just gets overruled. It doesn't even get mentioned like, oh, we're doing this first, we'll do that after. Like, she just gets completely disregarded when she's like, oh, this is here, that's here. And then, like you said, there's a bit of the movie a bit later on where, like, he kind of bonds with Daphne a little bit, because I feel like for all they're a group of friends, you never see a connection between them two specifically. Whereas in the last movie, it was like, oh, Daph this, Velm that. And then again in this one, when she's kind of like, Daphne's kind of going to her as a bit of a shoulder to cry on, she's again like, oh, Daph, like, I don't know, there just seems to be, like, them two a lot closer in the last two movies.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how I feel about it particularly because, like, I mean, you know, Velma was trying to be there for Daphne, but at the same time, I felt like she was being a little sarcastic at times too.
Yeah, it was like, oh, we've all already heard this. I guess, like, this, I don't know. I guess that, you know, it's kind of like everyone else that's been watching Scooby Doo for the best part of 20 years at that point. Like, we know Daphne likes Fred, Fred likes Daphne. It's a process.
I guess you have to imagine, like, the last thing you want to see is, like, your kind of best mate or your friendship group suffering almost. And I guess, like, they know that if they don't say something now, then the chance is going to escape from them or something. Like, I don't know. I kind of want to think about it from that aspect, but yeah, again, it is just a bit like, oh, yeah, here we go again type thing, which probably isn't the best way to go about things. But I guess if Daphne isn't listening and she keeps going for advice, like, if she doesn't act on the advice she's asking for and she keeps asking for it again and again and again, then it's like, okay, at this point, either act on it or ask someone else.
So then we go back to Daphne and Fred, who, like, again, there's quite a strong dynamic for them two in this movie. They had run after the Phantom and they run into somebody who's like, oh, what a cute couple. And we literally just have 5 minutes of Daphne going, we're not a couple, but if we were, we'd be a cute couple, but we're not a couple, so we're not a cute couple. And it was like, okay.
I mean, to be fair, they would be a pretty cute couple.
It's a lot of babbling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Babylon.
And then we go back to an interesting flashback.
Do we? Oh, yes, our kind of Casey and the Sundance Disco flashback, don't we? Like the Phantom of the 70s, no?
Yeah, it's they start.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they start to talk about the origins because he's like, oh, you know, this was 40 years ago and people are still taking it too seriously. And then, you know,
define taking something too seriously, right? Like, in context, they weren't like a mass murderer or a notorious criminal by any means, but if you're, like, say it's a nightclub, right? Or it's a disco at the time. Now, I don't know how it is in, like, America or something, but outside every nightclub in the UK, there's, like, 2 or 3 big, beefy guys dedicated to just, like, beat people up and drag them out if they're getting too rowdy or if they're breaking rules. And so these places are quite like, okay, like you have to have a certain like entry to get in here or you're going to get kicked out. And there's someone that like busts in like every other night in full fancy dress and no one notices them. It's kind of like, well, I'd like to say that it's not an overreaction to be a bit concerned about the security of the place, and it's gonna get renowned if they look that ridiculous on the damaging stuff.
We now know that there was that tunnel up from the sewers.
Yeah, but they didn't.
It's not
know
like they were
that,
just breaking through the front door.
Well, then that's I'd say that's even more of a concern then, because I'd rather a masked guy like running about breaking speakers than like a rat infestation. Like, I hope it wasn't selling food, because could you imagine the kitchens flipping out? I'm not for that at all. Ratatouille.
And then we cut back to Shaggy and Scooby, who's like breaking their duties to go and get pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I actually enjoyed was just seeing like their faces when she was like, okay, you're gonna need to move table, like your pizza's bigger than this table.
Oh, I can't even think about food right now.
So yeah, that just like leads into your signature Shaggy Scooby scene. And then there is like, for JayBee, I'm gonna go as far as to say this is like his nightmare character introduced. Like I've called them the scissor lady, but you know the person with the really sharp nails who's like literally she signs someone's tongue just carving with her nails. It's disturbing, and it's like one of JayBee's biggest phobias, like things been under your nails and stuff. So yeah, she was pretty intimidating, right?
I really don't like her.
No, I don't know, there's just so many things in this one. Well, there's one especially that we're going to come on to where I was a bit like, I feel like that's one too far.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like just the thought of her doing signatures by like carving into somebody with her nails is a bit much.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand why Shaggy and Scooby are like running back to the hotel, full on screaming, open the door, see her, and start screaming. Like, she's intimidating.
Lada, right? I believe that was her name.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it makes Christine seem nothing. Like, she's
right.
Like, we've seen her like stand with the Phantom, and like she can hold her own. She's fine. Like, this woman's the one to watch. This is a scary person.
This is the real monster.
Yeah, watch this one. The Phantom's fine. So yeah, that's like the start of the hotel scene, which is when like Velma wakes up and can't find Daphne. So she goes outside, and then they have that like moment that we were just talking about, where she's like, "Oh, Daph, where are you?" And like I said, their friendship it's like leveled up in these last two movies. I kind of don't know why. Like, do you think that it was something to do with the presenter at the time, where it was like, oh, let's have some different dynamics? Because I know you said they were linked to Mystery Incorporated, and obviously there we saw some different dynamics, like Velma and Shaggy and that kind of thing. So do you think there was something like behind that?
My only guess is that there's going to be a movie coming up within the next like 3 or so where Velma and Daphne have like a really big conflict throughout the whole movie. But I'm like, I don't know why they would have like built up this buddiness throughout all these movies just to have this like big conflict moment in another movie and then, kind of like never address it again later on.
Yeah, I know, it's strange. Like, it's just such an unusual dynamic, because I think the guidelines really in terms of the standard Scooby formula is when they split up into teams, you've got Fred, Daphne, Velma, and then the Shaggy and Scooby. If we're like having to separate it further down, it's Fred and Daphne on their own. Velma goes with like Ben Ravencroft, and then again Shaggy and Scooby are on their own, but you never see that dynamic. It's just so strange that like 2 movies in a row we see that, and then like we said, this is kind of like where it's the middle of the night, Velma's gone out to check on her, like, oh, are you okay?
Yeah.
So that's when like Daphne's a bit like, okay, so I'm sure this is a shock to you all, but I'm in love with Fred. And I was like, oh, shock,
what?
no way. No one saw that coming. I mean, did you suspect that Daphne was in love with Fred, JayBee, or did you still have your hopes held that she wasn't?
I mean, I thought about many a fan fiction that would be contrary to such a shipping, but I mean, to me, Daphne and Fred are just endgame, really. Like legit. We've got live action Daphne and Fred that was in like the 2002 and 2004 movies. They're married, they've got kids, they're awesome, they're like internet power couple, celebrity power couple, it's amazing. I would say that no matter what multiverse you're in, you're always gonna have Daphne and Fred as almost a double, like, even if they're just like the best friends in the world, they're gonna be in some type of relationship, and I just think that's amazing. So I'm all for the shipping of Daphne and Fred, and in fact, I think if Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. ever broke up, I think I'd be depressed. That's what I'm gonna say.
It's the same.
Yeah, like it's love, isn't it? Like, oh man, it's endgame, and it warms my heart to hear this, because it's literally like childhood Fred, you know, in Frank Welker, and I think probably like the longest standing Daphne voice in Grey at this point, and the fact that they're kind of, you know, intertwined in like this long shipping thing. It's just, I'm all for it, and I really love it. It goes nowhere, but I guess it doesn't really need to. It works for what it is in this movie, and I guess if I just forget about how it ends and whatnot, then I can have a good time with it.
Good. And I mean, what was your opinion on, like, and I'm going to be brave in asking this, I think. What was your opinion on the scene? Like, you know, you've got the dynamic with Velma and Daphne again having like a quite strong friendship. Daphne's gone missing in the middle of the night. Velma goes out to check on her. Like I said, I feel very brave asking you this question because I know where it's going, but without being weird, if you can manage it.
It's an event. It's an event. Yeah, definitely worth noting, isn't it? Like, with any event that's eventful, it's just a good state of affairs, I'd say. Pretty good time. Smash, isn't it? Good times all around.
Listen, I have beef with this scene, beef with this movie. I was waiting till we got to this point.
And I've
because
definitely
it's
got a
bugging me.
me-related issue with this scene.
Well, because here's my problem with this movie. I really enjoy this movie, but I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for this movie.
I don't think so.
I think I may have seen one, but I'm probably thinking about the wrong one. I don't believe I have, really. I don't remember it fully if I have.
Okay, well, they made a huge deal with this movie about how Daphne was gonna finally admit to Fred that she has feelings for him, and they like spoiled this whole scene in the trailer and was like, it's gonna have a twist and everything. So then, you know, going into this movie, we thought, yay, finally, they're gonna establish it in the movies and we can carry on. And then, as we see in this movie, it's this whole event. And then, spoiler alert for the rest, we go out of this movie and they act like that never ever happened. And it bugs me so bad that they did this huge side plot of Daphne wanting to express her feelings to Fred just to do nothing with it later on. That is my rant for the day.
I think it's a good scene.
Yeah, like, they do build it up so much. Like, in this scene, it's like, okay, well, when I win, I've got the confidence to do this. And it's like, okay, great, so you're gonna win. And then
technically they don't win.
It's gonna, like, happen.
Sacrificing
no, but she
the
knows
confidence
that
for
they
this
won.
woman. Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess maybe that's a bit why they just needed. Although they don't even keep continuity really between the films, so I think they could have done it and had that resolution, and then nothing would have happened afterward, and people would have been a bit disappointed. But ultimately, it played out in that movie. So, I mean, they kiss, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of revolutionary. Apart from Mystery Incorporated and this, in animation form, I can't remember a time that full-on lip-on-lip has happened, unless it happens at some point in the future. But I don't think it does, you know. I think this is it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Just sad. But they'll, like, if they've done it this many times, or they've alluded to it, they know it's a popular ship, it's gonna happen again. You know, maybe it'll go further next time, maybe there'll even be like a special of like an upcoming series, like maybe once it's the 25th anniversary of Mystery Incorporated, they'll do like a Where Are They Now type thing like they're doing now, like, and they'll catch up with the characters then, and they'll have like, oh look, here's Fred and Daphne, they're married now, and that'll just be like a joke or something, like they make pretty traps together. But that's kind of it, you know, like, it's gone on for 50 years, and I know people like are so harsh on some series or some decisions, especially like me sometimes with Get a Clue, but logically nothing can stay the exact same for 50 years and survive. It's gonna change, and if it's gonna survive for another 50 years, we're gonna get everything that you can imagine. We're gonna get a Playmobil movie, we're gonna get a claymation movie, we're gonna get a half live action, half, you know, cartoon movie, like with like back in action or something, Looney Tunes back in it, like every single Scooby thing you can imagine. If it's gonna survive the next 50 years, it's gonna pretty much do. So I'd say if you're just patient, there's gonna be something Fred and Daphne down the line, but I don't think it's going to be too soon, to be honest.
I don't think that Scooby Doo has enough continuity to commit to something like a relationship within the main dynamic.
It doesn't need to, you know. For a series, I think that's enough. Like, at the start of Mystery Incorporated, Fred doesn't really want to acknowledge Daphne that much, and at the end, they're engaged, so I guess it's not too much of a stretch of the imagination that there's going to be a series in the future where they're dating at the start and it ends with them getting married, or they're engaged at the start and it ends with another wedding, like something. I mean,
on a side note, and I'm hoping that maybe after the movies we might go into the series a little bit more on Smash or Pass, but for me, Mystery Incorporated was, if you have some interest in the characters themselves, that had the most plot for the characters as individuals, as opposed to it being the mystery of the week.
Oh, here's what I'll say. Mystery Incorporated season 1 for me, I get, like, not teary, but I get nostalgic for it, and I only saw it for the first time like 6 or 7 months ago, and it's already a classic. But I don't know. I think in hindsight, when I think about the series 2, for all a lot happens in it, I think it's easy to get bogged down in continuity for me. Like, I almost enjoyed the first season a bit more, where it was Freak of the Week mixed in with an overarching plot, as opposed to every single episode is just furthering the plot type thing.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I think even like something like Be Cool Scooby Doo season 1 and 2, I prefer like to Mystery Incorporated season 2, even though that's probably going to be like the most unpopular opinion in the world. But no, to me, Mystery Incorporated season 1 is peak. It's like the best version of Fred, I think, really. I think Fred's my favourite character in that whole series. And I'll stand them till I die. What says you, Millie?
No, I agree with you. Mystery Incorporated, like I said, for me, it's kind of, it was a series I really enjoyed. I think quite often with some series, it is just, this is the villain of the week. Whereas that had a lot of story about the gang behind it as well.
But even then, I think it's why I think the first original series is so good and so iconic, and you can watch it at pretty much any age, is that you're there for just fun, really. Like, it's a good time, it's comforting, there's good music, it's kind of charming to look back on the animation of the time now, and the monsters are all just so much fun. But the one series that I'm actually not liking too much, to be honest, is Guess Who. And it's because maybe there's like a mental block in my mind that if I don't know who the guest is, I'm not going to like it. And so when it's like, oh, here's, I don't know, Lucifer Mario, who's like an NBA basketball player that played in the 80s, I'm like, oh, okay, that's alright. Whereas someone that isn't too popular, like Ricky Gervais, I'm like, oh yeah, they wrote Afterlife, they were like David Brent in The Office, okay, I'm gonna like this episode. And so that was the episode that I was looking forward to on that disc. So I don't know. But I think my point is, even though it's been a tangent, is I think continuity is good, but only if it's done right, and too much continuity isn't necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, so we're coming into the chase scene where they use that instrumental song we were talking about before,
and it's a banger. I wish you could download it. Like, why can't you download the vocal song and the instrumental song? Like, release it on a vinyl or something. Like, it's just not acceptable.
So again, I think the Phantom kind of gets away here again, and then we start to look at the dress rehearsal. Have I skipped anything out there, JayBee? Anything you want to add?
What happened in the dress rehearsal, Miller?
So it starts off with the kid, the blonde. I've literally just, like I said, I apologize for not using names. I've just like labeled people myself here and I shouldn't do that. I've just said the bratty kid that kicks the camera.
That was hilarious though. Like the song a bit cringy. Like,
Where's
I get
the criminal
humor.
damage charge?
I get the
here?
humor of the song, but I didn't really think it was too funny. It was just, it is what it is. But them beating up the cameraman in the middle of that musical number was just hilarious.
They literally dragged them around. Like, I want the camera at this angle, I'm singing into it. Camera over there, I'm singing into it. Throw it on the floor, singing into it, and it's just like, oh my god.
It was great. I think she's iconic in her own right for that, to be honest.
And then we meet Emma the violinist, and it's like, okay, they quite clearly want us to like this character because it's like, ooh, they're saving the farm, and it's gone through generations 1, 2, and 3, and then it's kind of awkward because then they're like, oh, what would you spend the money on? And Daphne's literally like, maybe a new hat.
Oh, well, I don't like that though, because you always see on stuff like Britain's Got Talent where like you stand more of a chance if you've got like a bit of a sob story, and some of them are like genuinely sad and inspiring, whatever. Like there's people that like sing and they've got like disabled family members in the audience, and that's cute and it's uplifting because they care about them and whatnot. Yeah, it's good, it sells, so it works. So it just annoys me that they're not using that to get votes, and it's almost more respectful from their point of view that they're not using it in a way. But at the same time, after like just dropping like that kind of curveball at them, oh yeah, this competition isn't just fun, it's like the chance between getting evicted and not getting evicted.
Yeah, where
and
the
then expecting them to match
buried.
it is a bit much. Like, come on. And I'd feel bad, like, if we were, like, up for a competition, and they were like, oh, well, you know, this would mean the world to me, you know, my house got burgled the other week, my sister walked into traffic, and my younger brother fell into a swimming pool, and, like, they've got no arms and legs, and it's all very tragic. But what would you spend the money on, JayBee?
Pokemon cards.
I want a Sarah Michelle Gellar autograph. And it's like, oh, God. No, yeah. I'd make stuff up, like, you know, my mum's dead. I've got a dead mum. I need help.
Oh gosh. So we're still on the dress rehearsal. We then move on to the person that we've called the scary purple woman with the sore throat.
The purple people eater.
The one that signed the person's tongue with her nails.
Literally, though.
I don't like it. What's
I
wrong
know.
with them?
I said that's like your ultimate phobia is like things under your nails and stuff. So for her to be like carving interviews with her nails is just.
I don't like it, to be honest, but
No.
it must be easy to authenticate the signature.
And then it's Fred and Daphne's turn, and they do really well. It's quite sweet.
Yeah, I love it. Have we asked, or do we know if it's Frank Welker and Grace singing, or is it like Music of the Vampire where it's a different Fred but the same Daphne?
Yeah, so I know that's Gray. That was Frank Welker doing it.
Oh wow,
They
he
do
did
a
well.
really good job. I guess jack of all trades, really, Frank Welker.
And then following them's the magician who disappears at the end. The dummy that was really nice to Velma before sets on fire. Then there's that band that's a little bit crazy.
Is that the Weird Hex Girls?
Yeah, and all their stuff kind of just breaks, it falls
Rex.
apart.
Saurus Rex. I'm sad that we didn't get to see more of them, really, because I think they could have had like a cool kind of electro soundtrack. And it's weird because I think that it's almost a shame. Now I don't want to call the movie lazy because I think it is like the birthplace, if you want to call it that, of one of the most iconic, apparently, or one of my favorite Scooby Doo songs. But I think they're a bit stingy with the soundtrack in this, in that it seems like a lot of the musical acts are sabotaged very early on, so we don't get a musical number, and then the musical numbers that are repeated, the majority of them are repeats. Like, it baffles me, because again, like thinking back to say Britain's Got Talent, you'd have that one song that's kind of like the pleaser that like gets you through to the next round, then you do a different song, and then another song, and then quite often in the finale you do refer back to the first song, like your audition song, but with a higher budget. Whereas this, we're already on like round something, like round pre-finale, or what do you call it, semi-final? Round semi-final. And they've already like repeated the songs. In fact, they were supposedly meant to have prepared a new song in the fact of a tiebreaker, which they don't do. So I'm a bit like, oh, can we just get more music? Because that Homewrecker song plays twice, and then Fred and Daphne's song played twice, and it would have just been nice to have heard some different songs from the characters.
Yeah, I mean, of the movies that we've been watching, when it comes to soundtracks, the one that's really standing out to me, especially now we're coming up to Halloween's Goblin King, just the time that went into that, the amount of songs on that. That for me is an entire Halloween album in itself.
Yeah, there's like four.
There's at
four
least
or so
four
songs
good
on
ones,
that,
yeah.
kinda
That
cool.
I'm like, ooh, Halloween playlist.
Yeah.
So then after the band, everything breaks. Fred's like, it's time to set a trap. Hi everyone, we're going to sleep in our dressing room. We're going to be in our dressing room, defenseless in our dressing room. And like, it's telling everybody. So Velma, Shaggy, Scooby are hiding in the closet. But Daphne's asleep on the sofa, Fred in the chair. And then the Phantom just appears in the closet next to Shaggy and everyone's like screaming and running about. And that's when they find the tunnel into the sewer, which, like JayBee said, it's like full of rats. It's disgusting. There's bats in there.
But why have we got Fred having unprotected naps with Daphne?
It's a question for another time, JayBee. And then he's like, oh yeah, I'm the Phantom of the Opera. But I didn't do all that stuff. So it's like, okay, we're doing that like multiple unmasking thing. Little did I know to what extent, but I was like, oh, so there's going to be two then.
So this is 70s Phantom, right?
Yeah. Now, this is for me when it takes a very dark turn. Like I was kind of saying before, that her signing the tongue with the nails and stuff I thought was a bit dark and a bit too far. When they get back from the sewer, there's a silhouette hanging. Like,
yeah,
body
Yeah.
rocking, like from a rope hanging down off the platform. And to me, that was like, this isn't Scooby Doo. This has gone quite far with that. Like, I don't know if I've maybe been sensitive, but for me, in a Scooby Doo movie, that was maybe too far.
You're not being too sensitive, I don't think. It's all about context, and so, again, I think there is a Scooby property where it will work, but it literally goes straight from kooky guy talking about how much he hates mini skirts and ascots to literal guy hanging. So...
And we know that people, like... that they've been trying to get rid of people. They've gone as far as trying to set people on fire.
Yeah.
So to see that, it was a bit like, what happened to this person? They've killed him. What have they done to them? I don't know. Like I said, I'm fully willing to admit that I'm being sensitive here. But I was just a bit like, I don't like that at all.
It's just, I don't think it's not the right movie for that. And I don't think there has been a right movie for that.
And not only
even
that,
Zombie Island I don't think was an appropriate time for that. I don't think any of the movies we've covered, but I do think there is a place for it. I just don't think it's her, to be honest.
But not only that, while they're like hanging there tied upside down, the Phantom then starts another fire. So it's like, okay, well, even if hanging down didn't kill them, maybe the fire while they're tied there is going to.
Like smoke rises as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
so they're in the worst place to be.
It's a lot, that scene. And then Fred's like, don't worry, I'm going to stop it. He goes, he does this little trick with his ascot where he flips the guy over.
That's awesome. Like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and then they manage to unmask Mel, the owner.
Yeah, who claims that they're the Phantom,
There's another
but
one!
they didn't do it all. So we'll have to do it again then, won't we? Woo.
Yeah.
It's
And
bad.
I don't know, for me at this point, I'm a bit like, because when we do this, I'm thinking back to The Witch's Ghost, and we were like, do we need to do more than one unmasking? No. With this, did we need to do more than one unmasking? It kind of fit. Let's do two. Why is two not enough? Why are we on to the third one? And then from there we get the fourth one, and I'm just like, okay, no.
You get
That's
to be a
just
phantom.
far
You get to be
too
a
many.
phantom. You get to be a
With
phantom.
everything, this was too over the top without enough detail in any of it. Like, there was a good enough plot there, but there was too many characters to the point where I genuinely don't know the name of more than 5 of them. And then there was so many unmaskings as well. And again, I couldn't even tell you the names of the people that got unmasked. And it's like, it's just a lot. Maybe it wasn't necessary. Like, all these things were valid stories on their own. Like, okay, it was a valid story that there was one of them as the villain to try and get their daughter to win the competition.
Yeah.
It's a valid point that there was one because
Insurance.
there was, the insurance thing. Another one because they wanted to try and steal the soapstone thing, right?
Yeah, that like the owner or the director was doing that.
And so it's just like,
that guy, it's plausible that if your
the-
show that you're employed by is losing ratings, that you'd want to cause some hype to build that up.
So wait a minute, that's 5, isn't it? The initial 70s one, the
70s
dad, the owner,
Trollface.
the trollface one, and the one that stole the soapstone
Or
thing.
was that?
Or was that the owner?
How
No,
many
was the-
phantoms?
Well, no, that was the director, wasn't it?
Oh,
That
there's
smelled
just-
of lemons.
Yeah, there's
Yes,
Lemon
that's
director who's wanted the diamond.
Yeah, then there's the
Trollface.
70s one.
Okay, 70s Trollface, Diamond. 70s Trollface, Diamond,
Dad and the presenter.
Isn't the presenter
No, they
the
were
Trollface?
trollface. The
No,
owner who wanted to claim off the insurance
Yes,
was the 5th one.
yes.
So there was 5 of these things, and it's like, okay, at which point, which was who? Was the one running in the corridor that person, and then we switch over to this one? And honestly, I think at the end, it just spun itself a huge, messy web that no one knew what to do with.
I think
Like,
it's a missed opportunity that they didn't recreate a hallway chase scene where you've got like
they're just
5
chasing
phantoms,
themselves.
like running in different directions, except this time there's a non-cartoon reason why that could be happening.
And surely, if the phantom turns up,
The phantom.
you're going to be like, not what a great idea, let me pretend to be one as well. Oh, let me pretend to be one as well. You'd be scared, right?
Or you'd frame someone. Well,
It's like...
again, they do try and frame others.
And like, so Trollface didn't need to be a phantom to attract ratings if there was already one there.
True.
They already had enough reason. I don't know, there was just so much.
The
that
only
was like,
one that
ugh.
benefited from other phantoms was the director who wanted the police's attention to be on the show rather than out and about.
Yeah, it was just strange. They had the one that went out and about to get the stone had a good scene where they were driving the Cruella car. They did that evil Cruella laugh in that car. That was quite
The DeLisle.
a good scene. And then it's announced that it's a tie. They both need to do another performance. So Fred and Daphne sing Fred's song. She's like, oh, I did some lyrics to this. And they sing the I Love You song. They get the kiss at the end that JayBee was talking about earlier.
That made me quite happy. It's just cute. I'm gonna write a Fred and Daphne fan fiction, and you guys are gonna smash or pass it when I'm not here.
And then they realised that, like... I'm sorry, JayBee, I was just skipping over what you said because I'm just dreading what you'd write.
Yeah, I'd write good stuff. You could read it beforehand, and you could get we could get Kate Melton back to help review it.
Maybe.
That'd be great, like guest star.
But yeah, then where were we up to? So then they decide that they're like gonna win, and then they're like, oh, but we can't win because what about Emma? And then they just start telling some terrible jokes.
It annoyed me. This annoyed me.
But it's like,
it
surely
annoyed
you
me.
can't lose votes. Like, if someone's voted for
right?
you,
It's mad.
like, I don't know. Again, maybe America and the UK are just completely different. But to me, for TV shows like that, people call in to vote. Like, are they calling back, like, cancel my vote?
Dial up, pay 20p or something. If you're watching this on demand, your vote may not count. But it's just, to me, I hated this because they did it in Samurai Sword as well, where they have to take the spotlight off of them, and it's like, well, they could have won, had their like moment in the sun, their victory,
and then donated the money.
Yeah. That's all you have to do. You don't need to start like tanking your performance just to do this. Like, I understand why they did it, and in fact, it's a really nice thing that they did. And in a way, you can't not, right? Like, if you just want to buy new tires, a part of you, your conscience is gonna drag on you if they're like gonna lose their place. But like, win fair and square, and then donate the money, even if you have to do it anonymously to like the bank farm or something, whatever governs banks. I don't know, like farms. Old McDonald, doesn't it? Like, give the money to Old McDonald, and you're good.
But for me, that's where my notes end with this one. JB, Smash, anything either of you want to add?
There's a mid-credit scene. An infuriating mid-credit scene.
Tell me more.
But I think because Smash has spoken about it, I'll let kind of Smash touch upon it because it's an old one, but I'd like to hear Smash's take on it all.
Honestly, I would have rather just not had this. I don't know, because they kissed and then we didn't hear anything about it. So then they had to throw in this mid-credit scene where, you know, on one side, Daphne is like talking to Velma. Well, did he kiss me because this and this? And then we have Fred asking the same thing to Shaggy and Scooby. And both Velma and Shaggy and Scooby are like, just talk to each other. Like, y'all are dumb. And I just, you know, it was pretty short. And I get why they did it, because they did kiss and then there was like nothing said about it before the credits. But in a way, I would have just left the kiss and then moved on better.
Yeah, it's
because
like,
then they have this huge moment about it in the middle of the credits, but then we don't do anything about it in the future.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. At the end of this movie, just seems like one huge mess.
Like a massive retcon.
How do we do the unmasking?
Yeah.
I know, let's just do 5 so it doesn't make sense, so no one can question what happened, because there's so many that any alternative could have been the case. And oh no, we don't have enough time. They've kissed, but we can't do anything about it.
But it's just stupid. It always has to leave something in almost, and I can't believe I'm like saying this as a criticism, but almost in a childish way. Like, they can't just have a somber moment or a moment of reflection be the end, even though there's no continuity. Like, and this isn't me as like an old person going, oh, back in my day, like Scooby Doo films could have seriousness to it. Well, it could do, obviously, but not to that extent. Like, even Alien Invaders, Crystal and Amber leave and Shaggy and Scooby are sad. They could leave them sad. Obviously, you can't have them like, well, you can, but like, it wouldn't be the right idea to have them fully depressed at the end, but maybe use that as a reason to have the gang comfort them and they can move forward in that way to the next adventure. They didn't need to make it seem like they didn't care anymore and that they'd just forgotten the second food was there. Like with this, it could have been a moment of somber reflection, like at the end of Curse of the Lake Monster, where they do explore it and it doesn't turn out the way they wanted, or they say they're going to explore it later and maybe they did off camera, maybe they will do in the future, but just to retcon it by like, oh, Velma's going to interrupt, and then they act like, oh yeah, we'll just focus on this now. It's just a bit infuriating, because they, even if it's not the popular answer, like they don't end up together, they could still just give us something rather than just pressing the reset switch in the middle of like a scene. It's just mad, and I hate it, and I don't like it at all. It stinks.
Okay, JB, anything else? Smash, anything else?
Nothing else for me at this point.
I think we're going to the ratings then for this, yeah?
Yep.
Oh god.
Okay, so JB, Scooby Doo Stage Fright, are you saying smash or pass?
It's a tricky one. I think it's one that I actually really like. I think there's very little that it gets wrong in terms of its substance. It's got a great soundtrack. All the characters are likable, like in terms of the gang, and the characters that are on the side are a bit interesting. They definitely do a lot. I'd say that there was more personality in some of these characters than in some of the characters that we've had before. Like, any of these characters I'd take over someone like Windsor or someone like, they're fine. And even the Bratty family serves some comedic purpose. Obviously, lots of Daphne in this movie, which is I'm always gonna like him. I think that's fair to say. So yeah, I think I'm gonna say smash. What about you, Millie? Will you smash or pass Scooby Doo stage fright?
I think it started off really well. Admittedly, I decide too quickly into a movie what I'm gonna say. Like my notes within the first few lines, I've written smash, and then I'll write past like another 10 lines down and stuff. At the start of this movie, I very much liked it. I like the lightning art style. I like the mystery machine, like in the traffic. Very early on, I was like, I really like this one. And then the more it got into it, the more it almost seemed like they didn't know what they were doing. And I hated the end. I absolutely hated the 5 unmaskings thing. I think it was insane. I didn't think it was necessary. I thought it was completely bizarre to have that many phantoms. And yeah, I think that was very, very strange. And then, like we said, the end was kind of rushed with the Daphne Fred thing. I don't know. I think they had a really good basis, but it felt like a very incomplete movie. Like they'd reached the time quota because they'd had too many characters, too much story, stuff they wanted to do. They just didn't have time to wrap it up. And so it was just like, okay, we can do 5 unmaskings in 3 minutes and then it all explains itself away. So I think for me, because the ending just kind of ruined it, it didn't feel like a complete movie. It's not one that I really want to go back to. So for me, this one is a pass. So, split decision so far. It's where we go over to the Scooby expert, Smash. Tell us a little bit about your backstory with this movie, because we always like it when it gets to this part for you. And ultimately, would you say smash or pass?
So I don't have a huge backstory with this movie again because this movie did come out like I think right before I went into heart failure, and so like it was just more of a struggle time in my life when this movie came out. So I don't have like huge memories with this one in the beginning. Obviously I watched it, got it when it came out, watched it and whatever, and then just kind of put it on the shelf. Like, cool, watched that one, and then watched it later, down the road after my kind of struggles eased and whatever, and got more into it and was like, oh wait, okay, now I'm actually paying attention, understanding what's going on, whatever. Uh, I liked probably the first like 2 or 3 Phantoms, but then, it was just like all of a sudden everyone was raising their hand being like, "I'm a Phantom too." And you're like, "Okay, stop. No
Yeah, I
more."
was kind of waiting for like Scooby to take his mask off, like, yay, it was me.
I'm the Phantom. No, I'm the Phantom.
It was me.
It's my Phantom.
I was waiting for JayBee to turn up in the movie, like, hi, I'm a Phantom too.
I mean, I wish I turned up in the movie.
But, I don't know. I'll say I was a little disappointed with like the first Phantom's story of like he was scared that he was hideous because he had a funhouse mirror. I was a little like, I just wanted, I guess, a little more depth to his story than just, oh, I grew up with this mirror and thought I was ugly. I was like, no, can we have a little more, no offense, a sadder story to him?
Yeah.
But, I don't know. But, overall, I really enjoyed the aesthetic of this one, and phantoms and like organs always give me the chills. So even though, he's not the creepiest villain, just kind of his atmosphere at times is a little creepy to me, and maybe that's just because, growing up I was creeped out by that Phantom of the Megaplex movie. But it just felt very like modern classic Scooby to me. There wasn't much that I felt like you needed to know beforehand, and there also wasn't much that was going to go on forward. It was just kind of a monster of the week in this creepy place, and the atmosphere I really just enjoyed, and what songs we did have I thought were fun. But yeah, overall, I have to say that this one is actually in probably my top 10 favorite Scooby Doo movies. So I'm gonna say smashed with this one.
Oh, so kind of interesting. I think this is the first time we've had this combination before, so very, very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, I think I'm gonna watch this movie many, many more times. I think it's good. I think it's good. I don't think I'm gonna say top 5, but we could be on the same page. I'm definitely thinking maybe top 10. One of these days, maybe when we like are up to date, we should probably compile our own like joint top ones. I
We
don't know,
should.
but like I definitely
Or like
think
go
it might
back
make
through
my
and
top
see which
10.
one's got like 3 smashes as opposed to like
Yeah, like 2
Like
smash
Yeah.
or pass, or yeah, that'll be interesting.
and almost like try and list them as a top 10 or something.
I like that. I like that. Can we have like a lingerie Daphne Funko Pop now?
Oh, for goodness sake.
Like-
I knew you couldn't get through the entire episode without mentioning that.
Every
You're
time
so
we
close.
sit down to watch these movies, there's a new Daphne that I want, like in Funko form, like Clown Daphne, Cat Daphne,
Camp Scare Daphne.
Camp Scare Daphne, Lingerie Daphne, all the Daphnes. Can we just have them all? Like, I will.
We were a few minutes away with this episode.
No,
you not
I will
mentioning that.
legitimately quit my job and work at Funko, work my way up from the mailroom like Mike and Sully until I'm the CEO, and just commission nothing but Daphne Pops. We're going to change it from Funko to Daphnica. That's my pledge. A vote for JB is a vote for Daphne. Make Daphne great
Most
again.
people prefer Velma.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we can sell some Velma things on the side. Like, who wouldn't, like, you could have, like, who's your mummy,
On the
Velma? Who's your mommy?
It's true.
My mommy?
I mean,
Where's my mummy?
Where's my mummy?
okay, so with that, what's next week's episode going to be?
Oh, God.
Oh, that didn't sound enthusiastic,
No.
JB. What is it?
I want to be left alone.
What is it?
It's WrestleMania mystery or whatever.
Oh. I wonder what your result's going to be for that one, JB.
No, I might like it. I'm not going to judge it prematurely just because I really...
I really don't want to watch this one, but
I couldn't give a poo about wrestling. I don't understand it. Like some dudes just on steroids and they're bashing another dude on the floor. Like, I don't know what the deal is with that. Like, fine. Some guys have had steroids and have got a bit ratty in a cage and they're in their underwear and there's belts going on. Oh God, kill me now. It's what is it? And this John Cena geezer, who is he? Apparently no one can flipping see him, so I don't know what we're... I just... Oh my lord.
he's going to be the ghost then.
I can't do it. But I'm going to treat the movie for what it is. I just personally... I'd rather watch Mystery Map again, to be honest.
I, for one, would not.
I promise you that this one, because there are 2 WrestleMania movies, this one's the better one of the
Oh,
2.
God.
Let me, if I don't like that one, I'll be even sadder later on the list. That's mad.
It's okay, JB. At least they're not back to
You,
back.
you don't need to know a lot about wrestling for it.
I mean, I'm more excited for the WrestleMania one than the Kiss one, I've got to say that.
And isn't the second one, though,
Me
Curse of the
too.
Speed Demon or something? So it's not even that wrestly, right?
Well,
Sounds
it's
more
about
like
racing.
Right, yeah.
Well, it's like anything. It's like why I don't like some like aspects of Guess Who is because if I'm not engaged with the
Who it is.
guest, then I'm just gonna instantly have that negative approach. It's I don't know. I guess it's kind of a bad mindset to be in. But like, say if it was Scooby Doo meets Benedict Cumberbatch or Scooby Doo meets Judge Rinder or something, I'm all for it. Yeah, let's do that. But you know. I guess people that like wrestling would enjoy it more than me. I don't know.
Okay,
We'll
well,
get to that.
I guess next week is going to be perhaps a little bit of torture for JB, but at least the rest of us can be enjoying that. So I guess this is the Scooby News section
Yeah,
of
community news. So,
as of recording this, when this goes out, we're meeting Matthew Lillard tomorrow.
oh, are we?
That's my Scooby News.
Oh, yes, I cannot believe it. There was a tweet that he's in the UK now. Literally, like 20 minutes down the road,
It's about an hour, but
Matthew friggin' Lillard is in somewhere. It's probably raining, it's cold, it's damp, it's miserable. He's looking out, there's Englishy people walking around, oh my lord, I cannot believe that. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just so excited. And I would even say that England's more scary than Spooky Island, so let's hope he survives. Let's hope he survives, because it's a weird place. Like, literally 85% of my TikToks have just been dedicated to Boris Johnson looking a bit daft. So we'll see. So big love to Matthew Lillard. I can't wait, but I'm also very nervous. But I don't know, I'm gonna try and record what we can for that. So hopefully there's a video at some point, but I don't know.
Of you crawling through the horror maze screaming.
And hopefully holding some snakes and spiders.
We'll see about that.
Well, like I said, we've kind of got this like pact where if Millie like strokes a snake, I'll hold the tarantula, and that's like kind of thing. But
like, there are two biggest phobias. I'm petrified of snakes. He's petrified of spiders. I'm pretty scared of spiders too, to be fair.
Yeah, but how do you control spiders? You can't. They're reckless. They're pests. Whereas snakes, all you need to do is pull out a recorder or a clarinet and they're just dancing things, the dancing socks.
You watch too much TV.
Bollywood. I guess other community news that we've got, and maybe this is on smASH's radar as well, is that the soundtrack for the Scooby Doo live musical, it's like Lost Kingdom of Gold? smASH?
Yeah, Lost City of Gold.
Lost City of Gold. That was released. I think it's fair to say that we've had a decent sample of it, so if you know enough about it, smASH, we could have like a quick 2-minute Smash Up Our special now about what we thought about it, but I don't know. Have you had a chance to digest into the musical soundtrack at all?
No, because I want to do a reaction video to it, so I haven't listened to it quite yet, but I'm hoping to sometime this coming week.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Obviously, I can't like spoil it or anything. I couldn't even like get the vocals right, but it's all right, you know. I think it's one of my favorite vocals for something like this. Like, I'm not really a big theater person, but this kind of rocked. Like, there are a few ones that I could just instantly skip over, but the ones that are good, you can just have them on repeat. So I think you'll look forward to that.
I'm excited.
Do you have any other community news? I'm just trying to think if I have any, but I don't think I do.
I don't believe so, not right now.
Okay. I think this is all good then. All is right with the world. Oh, well, I guess like personal news. I think our thing arrived to Freddie Prinze Jr., did it, Millie?
Oh yeah, the Funko box that they're signing. So Freddie Prinze Jr. has received the Funko box to sign for the Fred Funko, and then we're taking the Shaggy Funko box to Lillard tomorrow.
Oh, it's gonna be great though. Although I'm gonna get piggy with it because I want to get them all in like hard stacks, but then I want to make like ultimately endgame like a little collection. So 2002-2004 collection at the top. Mystery Begins collection there, and then animated collection at the bottom. But it's just a pain because it sounds like the easiest thing in the world if you can find private signings or if you can find events. That's like fair enough, right? Like, because they're going to be upwards of $80 anyway. You expect it to be a bit of a premium, especially if you're going all out for a certificate of authentication. But the annoying thing is, and again, everyone likes to make fun of me for being Mr. Simp Pants, SpongeBob Simpy Pants. But when you think about every like Daphne Funko Pop is upwards of 50 quid and Velma's like 65-70 quid. If you're gonna collect, say for example, a Linda Cardellini Funko Pop, and a Haley Cookie-O Funko Pop, and a BJ Ward or Mindy Cohn or Kate McCucci Funko Pop, what's like 80 times 3?
240.
That's £240 without the free autographs, without the COA. So then it gets a bit silly. Whereas if you can pay for free, I guess it would be just Lillard. Well, a Lillard, a Pilates, 2 Lillards and a Pilates. You're in decent stead, and they're like what, £45?
And if you wanted some variety, you could get Innes for.
Oh, you could get Innes for Shaggy. Oh my lord! Why you do this to me? Don't do that to me. You're evil. You are. That's mad. That's mad. Yeah, fair enough. But my point is, because the other gang members, the other members of the gang, aren't readily available, they're just so difficult to do. Like, and then it's to the stage where like every single Daphne I want to collect, but I don't think I'm ever gonna get a chance to get any of them. But we can hope.
Aww.
We can hope.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You're laughing. You think it's good fun. You think it's great.
Anything
fun.
where I get to bully you about Daphne is great fun.
Aw.
Okay, so I think that does it for news, right, JB?
Yeah, I think it's good.
So yeah, this has been this week's episode of Smash or Pass. Remember to join us next week after JB has been tortured watching Scooby Doo WrestleMania.
And check out Smash's channel because every single one of Smash's videos are amazing. I love like the background music they use and like yes, and Smash's hair. Smash's hair. If you want to see Smash's cool new hair, go to the link in the description because it is on #Fleek. It's I want that hair. Get it for me, Milly. Import it.
Import my hair.
Okay, yes.
You bashed me right on my headphone.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pull your headphone.
Oh.
So yeah, that's it.
Or him ahead.
So yeah, that's it for this week. Like I said, join us next week when JB has officially gone mad watching that movie. Woo!
And I've held a tarantula, maybe.
I'm not doing the snake thing. You won't have held a tarantula.
A Sri Lanka.
Tarantula. I'm not doing the snake thing. I've got to do it.
And to find out what Daphne Funko Pop I want next week, stay tuned.
Woo!
So goodbye.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
You have listened
JayBee
to
Milly and
Smash or Pass with
Yay!
JayBee, Milly, and Smash. We'll see you next time. Good evening, sports fans, and peace out.
This is why you don't
Lots
do the
of love.
outro.
What did they say? No, what did they say at the end of stage performances? Wiedersehen.
Oh god.
Have a good night.
Finn. Yeah, Finn.